There has been a debate in the football world recently about one man, Bukayo Saka, and I'm going to pose the question to you. Is Bukayo Saka world class?
No, I don't think he's just there yet, but he's definitely showed spots in of spurts of world class. I think he's definitely asserted himself as a top 3 winger in the entire world in his position, and he's definitely ascending. I mean, we're seeing Saka improve season by season, and it's a glory to watch. I mean, who would have thought that Bukayo Saka would be the best player on possible Premier League winning team? Who would have thunk it? And it's just been very impressive, especially what he did for England. I mean, for England, he was arguably one of the best players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after coming off that Euros, where the fans absolutely tore into him and ripped him apart, to come back and have that type of show and to be accelerating his game to this level, it's completely impressive. And I give all kudos to him. And I think he's starting to he's on the steps of being world class.
Wow. Look, I disagree with you on this one. I think Bukayo Saka is world class. I mean, look, this season, 22 goal contributions in the Premier League. I think it's obviously between him and Martin Odegaard, but I think he is the best player on this Arsenal team that may as well go on and win the league. So you're telling me the best player on a Premier League title winning side is not world class? I
No,
don't. I
I
don't.
I think I hold that it's just my personal opinion though. It's like the world class is held for somebody that can prove it for multiple seasons. We're seeing Saka just step into this. So to me, people I deem as world class like a Mohamed Salah, Lionel Messi, or Kylian Mbappe, guys who've shown it for so long, is who I would deem it. But he's definitely showed glimpses of that world class and that he can definitely keep sustaining this.
I mean, I agree. He does have to be consistent with this, and that's one of the things where maybe people are a little bit hesitant because this is a relatively small sample size. I mean, he's really been at this level for only this season, and obviously we know that he could develop into this type of player based on what we've seen, last season. But I don't think anyone expected this type of jump necessarily. But to me, but just based on what I've seen this season, I don't see any reason for him or any way he can fall off. I mean, this Arsenal team is on the ascension. I think that this team is only going to
It's a
get
young
better.
team.
It's a young team, young manager, Arteta. This is a team that, if they're able to win the Premier League, I think that they're going to continue to make the squad better, build it around Saka. Saka's about to get a new contract. Just everything seems to be going in the right direction for Arsenal and Saka. So I just think this is like we're just starting to see how good this guy is. I mean,
Absolutely.
he 12 goals, 10 assists in the league this season, and obviously there's still about 10 games to go, so these stats are only going to get better. I think by the end of the season, he could have a 15 goals, maybe 15 goals, 12 assists, that type of range. Potentially, if he really steps up his game, potentially 30 goal contributions in the Premier League. That would be
That's impressive.
remarkable. That's really impressive. And to be the best player on a Premier League title winning side, I think you have to put him in the world class category. But I think it's an interesting conversation because obviously it just depends on what does world class mean to you.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, it depends on
and
like the person.
if you're basing it based on consistency and how many seasons have you done it, then I do understand, the hesitancy to put Saka in that conversation because realistically, this is the first season where he's been at this level. But he's even been in the conversation for a world class level. But I just think I'm kind of basing my answer based on I don't see him falling off, and obviously that could happen. I mean, we've seen players fall off before. It wouldn't be the 1st time, but I just don't think Saka is like that. I think this kid is destined for success. I think he's going to be that star player, not only for Arsenal but for England. I think he's
But
the
I
face of the English national team.
that's a big statement. And obviously, with Jude Bellingham, how many young players England have? I mean, God, England's squad is
I think
fucking stacked.
I think he's the star boy of that team.
I
Like
mean that
obviously, and
that
obviously
that, that would be saying
he's
something.
going to be in the
Obviously,
obviously. I mean, Jude is also a fantastic player. Don't get me wrong. We just made a video about Jude yesterday on the channel. Go check that out. But I just think Saka being in the forward line, he's going to have a chance to score goals, be the assister. I think that's what's going to ultimately make him the face of the Three Lions. And I mean, he's linking up with Kim Kardashian and things like that. I mean, this kid just has star potential written all over him.
but I did have one question before we get into the next point of this video. Do you see Bukayo Saka possibly winning a Ballon d'Or?
Ooh, honestly, it's gonna be tough. I mean,
He'd
obviously,
be the first player since what? Michael Owen.
Michael Owen. I think, yeah. I mean, wow, that's a really tough, a really tough question because
It's yeah, man, because
because
it's so far away.
once Messi, is fully out of the equation, then it's Mbappe. And are you going to be able to put up Mbappe numbers? And obviously, to win a Ballon d'Or, you have to have success. You have to be winning trophies as well. So that means England
The
is going to have
stars
to
have to align.
England is going to have to be winning potentially an international trophy. And I don't care how good Saka or Jude Bellingham become. I still don't know if England are going to ever get over the hump and win an international trophy. They just seem to always bottle it. And I mean, you would assume that you're going to have some European success in Arsenal once again, historically speaking, even when they've
They
had
haven't
their
been the
glory days, when
greatest.
they had Sol Campbell, when they had Arsene Wenger, when they had Thierry Henry, they had RVP, they weren't able to win, the Champions League or Europa League. So I'm gonna say I think Saka will always be a fantastic player, but I don't think will win a Ballon d'Or unless he leaves Arsenal.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a crazy thing to say because that's something I saw, going around Twitter, going around social media, and people should have to remember. You remember when we thought it was a no-brainer that Neymar was going to win multiple Ballon d'Ors?
Yeah.
And has Saka ever been better than Neymar at any point yet? I mean, no disrespect to Saka. Obviously, we're giving him all the credit, but he's
Saka
no Neymar.
Neymar at 21 is better
Ne-
than Saka is at
Neymar
21.
at Barcelona when he left, it looked like the world was at his feet, that he was destined to win a Ballon d'Or,
Yeah.
and he's never going to win it now. So to reach that echelon, that peak of a Ballon d'Or, especially when you have so much competition, a lot of things have to go right. And Saka, obviously, very world class player. He might always hang around there, but there's a lot of players that just don't win it, and I don't think that's
Yeah.
going to be a detriment to
Like
his legacy.
I think Saka has the talent and ability to win a Ballon d'Or, but in order to win a Ballon d'Or, the stars have to align. You have to be winning trophies that particular season. And I mean, you're going to be going up against the likes of Mbappe, Erling Haaland, multiple types of players like this at that level. And I just think that is ultimately going to hold him back if he stays at Arsenal for maybe his entire career. Because obviously he's signing a big long-term extension. He seems like right now no desire to leave the club. And why
Yeah,
would he have
absolutely.
any
Yeah.
desire to leave the club? But this is something I saw a video saying that Saka reminds somebody of a Real Madrid type of player. So we'll just say, for argument's sake, if Saka goes to Real Madrid at some point in his career, and he's the best player on Real Madrid at that time, potentially when he's 26, 27 years old, and they win a Champions League, and he's putting up 30 goal contributions and things like that, I think he could win a Ballon d'Or then. But I just don't think he could win a Ballon d'Or at Arsenal.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, like you said,
And I think,
Arsenal would have to
and I
win.
think,
Would
I
have to
think
win almost
Arsenal,
everything.
yeah, exactly. Arsenal are going to be a fantastic club. I think that they have finally, gotten out of that banter era phase. But I just don't think that they're ever going to have a season where it's like, he's like Saka, potentially England wins the World Cup, Arsenal win a Champions League, and Saka puts up crazy numbers.
Yeah.
Like all of these things have to align for you to win a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, because I mean, right now Saka is arguably the best player on a Premier League winning side, and he's
He's
not
not
even
even
in
in
the
the
conversation
conversation.
right
I mean,
now.
it's Messi and Mbappe. I mean, all
Yeah,
of these guys are way
because
ahead of him. Even Haaland is ahead of him.
as much as we're not here to like debate, who's better, Real Madrid or Arsenal right now, but those type of clubs like a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, those are the places you usually go. Like those are the Ballon d'Or hotspots because that's just where the Ballon d'Or has been at for so long. And
Mostly
that's like
because
kind
of
of what
Ronaldo and
you
Messi, but even
mostly
before that,
because of Ronaldo and Messi, but even before that, like this is where
and
mostly the echelon of football
Ronaldinho.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously not to go on like 3 hours about that, but it was just a question I wanted to pose.
No, it's an interesting question because I think he does have the ability to do it. I just don't think it'll all fully come together for him, because it's tough for an English player to win a Ballon d'Or given how bad England have been.
Yeah,
I mean, Messi, he's going to win the Ballon d'Or this year because they won the World Cup.
they won the World Cup. Yeah.
So if England wins the World Cup, I wouldn't put it past them. But I think that brings us into the next point that we wanted to make here, obviously involving Saka, because this is another debate that's been going on. Everyone loves to rank footballers, and these 5 wingers have been phenomenal this season. There's no doubt about it. These are
5
probably
young
5
wingers.
young wingers. So I'm gonna just name them off here. So I want you to rank these 5 wingers for me: Bukayo Saka, Rafael Leao, Vinicius Jr., Kvara, and Rashford.
Okay, I think there's a clear head and shoulders number one, and that's Vinicius Jr. Just that's clear. That's a given. Number 2, I'd give to Marcus Rashford just for his form this season. I think he's been incredible. And then number 3, I'd give to Bukayo Saka. And then number 4, I'd give to Kvara, just his absolute breakout season. It's been incredible to see him, what he could do for Napoli. And then at the bottom, no disrespect, I think Rafael Leao is an absolutely spectacular footballer, but compared to the others on this list, he's just not better than them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I would go number 5, Rafael Leao.
Yeah.
Then number 4, Marcus Rashford.
Okay.
Number 3, Kvara. Number 2, Bukayo Saka, and number 1, Vinicius Jr. I think for me, Vinicius is obviously.
Thank God. I thought we were going to have to delete the channel there.
Vinicius has to be number one. I mean, he's proven it in the Champions League. He literally scored the game-winning goal in the Champions League. He's been consistent. He's literally right now, even though Benzema did win the Ballon d'Or last year, Real Madrid's attack runs through Vinicius Jr. Carlo Ancelotti plans the attack, the tactics around Vinicius. That's how good this guy is. He has everything in his game.
I think when any team plays Real Madrid, they look at Vinicius more than look at Benzema right now. I mean,
For
that's
sure.
just how,
Especially this
it's
season.
how you contain. Yeah, especially this season, just how you contain Vinny is how you're going to beat Real Madrid.
So I mean, it's obviously we had differing of Rashford. So I wanted to get
Yeah,
look. We both
you had
agree.
Rashford a bit low
We
there.
we obviously both agree that Vinicius has to be number one. But talk me through Rashford.
I think I don't know. I don't know what happened with you, man. I mean, there was a couple weeks ago, and maybe even a month ago, we are talking about Rashford could be like he was on form to be the best player in world football. I mean, that wasn't too long ago. That was still this year,
But I
and
just
he's shown flashes of that. He's just this big game player that right now he's hit a bit of a rough patch. Hasn't been scoring as frequently, but if he kept up the numbers he was right after pre-World Cup, I mean, we're talking about 50 goal
but
contributions. I
that's
mean,
the
that wasn't
thing.
something
But that's
he
the
couldn't
thing.
do.
What did you just say? He's a little bit inconsistent. I mean, before he had this huge breakout, was super inconsistent. I mean, this guy he wouldn't even been in this
Well,
conversation.
but
Then he had a huge
he's had
breakout.
injury problems. I mean, it's plagued him a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. I just think Rashford is a bit too inconsistent, and I want to see him be at this level consistently.
Yeah, I wish Rashford could stay healthy. This is for one of his seasons where he's been more healthy than he's been hurt. And I mean, he has 36 goal contributions in all competition. That's the highest out of all these players.
Yeah,
That is something to
it
that you can't just scoff at that. That is absolutely insane. And obviously they've come in a bit of a spike and then a bit of a low, but he still has that talent. And I think I adore him as a player. I think he's just spectacular.
well, I look at it like this. Vinicius Jr., we know he's won a Champions League. He provided the game-winning goal in a Champions League final. He's clear number one. Bukayo Saka is about to be the best player in the Premier League winning side. Kvara, first of all, he's been probably Napoli's star player this season. Obviously, Osimhen as well.
I think breakout player of the year.
But Kvara, he's basically we both think this Napoli team is going to go to a Champions League final, and he's going to be a huge part of that reason why. Obviously, they're 20 points ahead, I think, in Serie A at the moment. That's pretty much all wrapped up. They have a good chance to win the double. And so we're talking about Kvara being either the first or 1A, 1B potentially of winning a Champions League in a Serie A. And when I look at Marcus Rashford, sure, he's putting up these good numbers, but what is that really equating to? A Carabao Cup? So he's not really winning as much. And
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe you could say that Man United maybe isn't as good of a team as Arsenal or Napoli or Real Madrid, and maybe I can give you that. But let's not act like Man United are scrubs.
I mean they've had definitely surges. I mean, I
he's a
think Man
fantastic
United
coach.
as a whole club has been a bit inconsistent at recently. Now, I mean, Eric Ten Hag has done spectacular to bring them back from what they were. I mean, absolute banter club, but they still have some problems with being more consistent. But I just think what his numbers and what Rashford has done, I think it's a bit undeniable. To me, I think it was closer. The harder one for me was Saka or Kvara. That was really hard to me just because the fact that Kvara's numbers he almost has 10 plus goal contributions off Saka. And look, Saka's in the most difficult league in the world. I'll absolutely got to give him that. And he's leading Arsenal to a Premier League title right now. But Kvara just almost from the eye test of how he plays, it's just silky smooth. How this guy he controls the ball. He has the ball on a string. Mm-hmm. And let's say Saka is sloppy or anything. He's great on the ball as well. But
Saka, he relies much more on speed. But Kvara, it's just dribbling brilliant. This is the guy as he gets old, and like this, I think his game is going to age very well.
He's he's a kind of those players that's born with it. It's like you don't teach that. You can't teach that. It's like how it's like a bit of Messi, not to compare Kvara to Messi, but it's
literally exactly
what
I was going to say. Like, I don't want to compare Kvara to Messi, but they play like the way that they dribble is very similar because they don't necessarily rely on speed. The ball is literally glued to their foot. It's like you can't really take the ball off of Messi, but in the same way, you can't really take the ball off of Kvara. Just the way he dribbles, he doesn't really rely on his speed as much. So I rate Kvara very highly, and it was tough because I was tempted to put him at number 2 over Saka. But I really do rate Saka very highly. What he did in the World Cup, what he's been doing for Arsenal this
It's a
season.
bit unfortunate. We might never see Kvara in a World Cup because I don't know if the
We Georgia, yeah.
Georgia. I
Well,
don't think they're gonna make. Maybe
with
with how
the
they're changing the World
exactly
Cup,
the
he might be
48
able to
team
sneak in there. But
48 team World
obviously,
Cup.
he ain't winning the World Cup.
I do
That ain't
feel bad.
happening.
I do feel bad for Rafael Leao because I mean, he's obviously he
He got
has
the short end of the stick.
Rafael
of
Leao
this.
has to be fifth when you compare these wingers, but that doesn't mean Rafael Leao is a bad player. I think he's a fantastic player. I hope he, well, I mean, he might be staying at AC Milan, but I hope he does go to the Premier League because I think that's where we'll see his talent really start to flourish. I mean, this guy, he has the potential to be higher up on this list at some
Yeah,
point in his
I
career.
think he can easily be. I mean, when if he was on a better
We've seen
team,
it. We've seen the
he could be
flashes.
better than Marcus Rashford, and he could be better than Cavani. He could be better. It's like this. I mean, we saw him in the World Cup. I mean, there's certain points where I thought it was a crime that they weren't playing him more.
Yeah, I
Because
thought he
just
should have played more.
how much of a game changer he was. I mean, this guy was smiling as he was scoring. I mean, it's almost sadistic at a certain point how this guy plays.
He
And
just
he's big, physical, tall,
yes,
fast.
exactly.
He has
He has
all
it
the
all.
attributes.
And his dribbling is fantastic. Finishing is decent. It's just one of those things. He compared to last season, it's been a little bit of a drop off. But I think also AC
I think
Milan in
AC
general,
Milan, in
they've just
general, have
taken a
taken
little
a
bit of
drop
a
off.
drop off. And
They're
I think
not as good as they were.
it's just adjusting to the fact that when teams play AC Milan, they're looking at Rafael Leao as this is the guy you have to stop. You know, maybe compared to last season where he was bursting onto the scene, it wasn't necessarily as like that. And I think that obviously when you go to a better club, let's say you put Rafael Leao, let's just say for argument's sake, he goes to an Arsenal, goes to, you know, Manchester United, something like that. There's more weapons around him. You're not necessarily the main focal point, more space for you to adapt and things like that. And obviously, Serie A, they have a relatively good defense. It's always been a good defensive league.
Yeah, and to just compare, I mean, Rafael Leao's on the weakest team compared to all the other ones. I mean, everybody else on this list is on a better team than AC Milan.
Yeah,
just, as is the truth of it,
yeah.
and that can play into the fact that he's not on a very good team. But Rafael Leao is still class. I mean, he's still one of the best wingers in the world. I would have him easily in the top 10. I think he's a top 10 winger in the world.
I mean,
but
all of these guys, I mean, these are wingers that are in that conversation.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a difficult way to rank them because all of these guys are so good where it's like you feel bad putting Rafael Leao fifth because of how good he is. And it's the same way, like, I feel bad putting Marcus Rashford fourth based on what I've seen. But it's just like, the other three, like, it's just tough because, like, I feel like the other three are just better. But it's like, you have to be in a conversation like this for the only way Rashford could be fourth is if he's in this type of ranking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's going to be in the top 2 or top 1 potentially.
Yeah, and it also what plays in the fact that just what you want from a winger, just because all these guys are completely different wingers. They play completely differently.
Completely
like
different.
Marcus Rashford is not your average winger. He's more of a
Ronaldo type.
He's more of that Cristiano type winger that that looks to go in and score and get in proper scoring positions. Other than Vinny, who looks to more create, Cavara, who looks to create, and Saka, who can create as well. It's like they're such different. He does, yeah.
And Leao just kind of brings it all to the table as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like he's a little bit like Marcus Rashford, plays a bit like that. I mean, he's a taller, physical, so he gets more in the thick of stuff. But still, all class players, and I mean, from most of it, I hope to see Leao and Cavara maybe take their talents to some different teams. I mean, I like to see him in the Premier League, man. I mean,
yeah, I mean, Cavara potentially he's been linked to Real Madrid, but they both play. I mean, Vinicius is kind of occupying that left wing position. So unless Cavara goes to the right wing,
I think that's just a Madrid thing, though. I mean, everybody's linked to Madrid at a certain point. I remember when Messi was linked to Madrid, man.
Okay, yeah, Messi was linked to Madrid.
Yeah.
But I think obviously this is a conversation that it had to be had. It's an interesting conversation. So let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about Bukayo Saka? How highly do you rate him? And then rank those 5 wingers. Let me see in the comments down below. Where do you rank these wingers? Because I'm sure everyone has a different opinion. Some players are going to be higher for some, and then some players are going to be lower for some. So let us know in the comments down below your ranking. But I think, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video. But without further ado, we can wrap this one up.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
So I'm Zach.
I'm G.
And we'll see y'all next time for another video. Peace.